Good day, everyone. So, our topic for today is about cognitive and metacognitive factors in learning. So, I am Dr. Erwin R. Aprensilio. For our learning outcomes, we have first explain and differentiate cognitive and metacognitive factors in learning, and recognize the role of cognitive and metacognitive factors in learner centered teaching. So, this is our lesson outline. First is we have to know the definition of cognition and metacognition. Second is cognitive and metacognitive factors. So let us define what cognition is. So first, it refers to the mental processes involved in gaining knowledge and comprehension. So majority of the knowledge or majority of the content in our subject of specialization involve basic knowledge and comprehension. So these processes include thinking, knowing, remembering, judging, and problem solving, which are very basic in learning. No, for example, you are learning science terms. You are learning about verb, noun, subject-verb agreement, or remembering the dates in the history of the Philippines, or a more complicated like judging or problem solving. So these are all cognition. So these are higher level functions of the brain and encompass language, imagination, perception, and planning. So cognition is observed among humans, no? Though there are some basic knowing or remembering among lower forms of animals, but cognition is much observed among humans as part of our brain functions. So how about metacognition? So if there is cognition, there is metacognition. So it comes from the root word meta, meaning beyond. So that is beyond cognition. So it refers to the higher order thinking, which involves active control over a cognitive process engaged in learning. So that means it is higher than the cognition. So higher order thinking, wherein you are controlling over the cognitive process, which are involved in learning. So you are learning via the cognitive process, but it is being manipulated by metacognition. So it is an appreciation of what one already knows. So let's say that you know something, you know a certain knowledge, then therefore, you know how to manipulate that knowledge. You know how to um, enhance that knowledge of yours. You know how to deepen your understanding about that knowledge. You can build, you can easily say what you are thinking about that knowledge. You can explain it in your own words. So thinking, knowing what we know and what we don't know. So that's part of metacognition. So thinking about thinking. So what do you know about the topic? What are those things that you do not know about the topic? Or if you are the teacher and you will um, use this for your learners, no? You have to guide them in identifying those things that your students know about the topic, so that from there you can guide them on the topics that they do not know or the content that they do not know. So it refers to the learner's understanding and control of their cognitive processes. So you can see here that metacognition will start in cognition. So meaning there should be cognition first before there is metacognition. And um, For us to develop metacognition, then therefore we have to develop first cognition. And of course, as teachers, we should have metacognition. So if you think that this is not yet observed among, among pre pre-service teachers or education students, so you make sure that you develop first your cognition, and later on you can be able to develop metacognition. So these are the different principles of cognitive and metacognitive factors. So the first one is the nature of the learning process. So the learning of complex subject matter is most effective when it is an intentional process of constructing meaning from information and experience. So since we are talking about learner-centered teaching, so there are several activities that we give our students, and from the activities that we give them, they can be able to derive the information or the knowledge that we would like them to learn. So it is stated here in the principle one, the nature of the learning process is that um, our students can learn better, or they can learn more effectively if there is that intentional process of constructing meaning from the information and experience. So that information and experience would refer to the different activities that we are giving them, different reading materials that we give them. So it is also indicated here that successful learners are active. When we say of active, they are actually doing the activities that you give them, and they are also goal directed. So when they are goal directed, it could be a personal goal, or it could be a school goal, no, a long term goal, or uh, a short term goal. As long as they are goal directed, it could be the goal in doing the activity, or it could be the goal beyond the activity. So they are also self-regulating, and they assume personal responsibility for contributing to their own learning. So as teachers, we have to develop this particular um, skills, no, or behavior of our students toward learning. It is like they are learning not because they would like to finish not only because they would like to finish studying so that they can be able to earn diploma, but they are learning because, or they are doing the activities, they're doing the task because that's part of their development, their personal development. It is their responsibility in, uh, it is their responsibility to learn on their own. Okay, so meaning as as the facilitator of learners of learning, no, of the learner centered teaching, we have to give them this, or we have to develop these skills to them, that they are responsible in their own learning. Okay? So it is difficult to just tell them now, okay, you are big enough, these are the materials, these are the activities, malalaki na kayo, kaya nyo na yan. No, they should be properly guided first, no? Hangga't hindi nila natututunan yung step by step in learning on their own, then therefore, you have to teach them on how to do that. Okay, so we are all surprised by the pandemic, no? And before the pandemic, during the face-to-face, many of the learners are more into learning with someone who can guide them, with someone um, who are always with them in learning. Someone na pwede nilang tanungin agad-agad about the things that they cannot explain, about the things that they cannot understand. However, if you'll notice, majority of countries around the world can easily shift from the face-to-face to modular or online. It's not because they have internet capability, but because the training, um, even during the face-to-face, no, they were able to develop the that particular skills in learning, no, learning on their own. Okay, so I hope na when time comes, no, when you teach your students, first you have to develop this responsibility of learning on their own. Okay, so another one is goals of the learning process. Okay, so the successful learner over time and with support and instructional guidance can create meaningful, coherent representations of knowledge. So, binigyan dito ng emphasis, no, over time. Okay, so meaning to say that this particular success of learners cannot be done in a short period of time. So meaning na after you have guided them in learning on their own, in being responsible in their own learning, no, so they will become successful learners because there is this support and guidance, no, and who are these people who can give them guidance, who are these people who can give them support. So the main person there is first the teachers, second the parents, third peers, no, kung sino man yung malapit sa kanila, but basically these people are the teachers. So because of that support and because of that guidance, they can be able to create meaningful, coherent representations of knowledge. So what are those things that they can be able to associate the knowledge that they have gained? Can they be able to apply that in their day-to-day living? So the strategic nature of learning requires students to be goal directed. So a while ago in the principle one, it was given emphasis already. And to construct useful representations of knowledge and to acquire the thinking and learning strategies necessary for continued learning success across the lifespan, students must generate and pursue personally relevant goals. So meaning, um, it is also given emphasis on lifelong learning, no? So meaning, learning will not stop when they are out of the room or when they are out of the classroom. So learning should be across the lifespan. So um, meaning after they graduated high school, after they finished college, or kung hindi man sila mag-aral after the high school. So there should still be learning. It may not be as formal as what is happening inside the room or inside the school, but still, if you were able to develop that particular skills of learning on their own, they can be able to acquire skills, knowledge and skills that they can be able to use in the real life situations. So it's like, paano ba natuto yung mga magsasaka na magtanim ng palay o yung mga mangingisda para manghuli ng isda, 'di ba? So natuto sila because there is that eagerness, there is that responsibility na matuto. Okay? So And with that, they should be properly guided as to what are the strategies that they can use, learning strategies that they can use, no, for them to be able to acquire knowledge, to acquire thinking. Second, they should be guided by personally relevant goals. So at this time, no, dapat kayo tinatanong niyo na yung sarili niyo, ano ba yung goal ko in life? So because that is your lifelong, that is your long-term goal, no? Ang goal mo ba is maging successful teacher? Ang goal mo ba ay maging isang manager, maging principal, maging DepEd secretary? Because what you are doing right now should be little steps in achieving that long-term goal. And because of that long-term goal, you know that you should learn for you to be able to attain that. So just imagine a person without a goal. So pag wala kang goal, para saan pa, 'di ba? 'Di ba may commercial nga like, para kanino ka bumabangon? So with that in context, nakikita na natin na, wait, I have to do this so that I can become like this. I have to take these steps. I have to learn how to learn because I want to be like this. 'Di ba? So we should be as not only as learners, no, but as persons, we should have these personally relevant goals. And this will drive us in doing what we are doing right now in order to attain these goals. And of course, as teachers, we can assist learners in creating meaningful learning goals that are consistent with both personal and education aspirations. So you make sure that the goal that your students are dreaming to attain are also connected to the goals of learning and to the goals of education aspirations. So meaning to say, if they would like to become successful, let's say successful police officers, successful accountants, no? So what are the learning goals that should be done so that they can be able to attain that? Okay, and as teachers, we have to guide them in doing such. Okay, third, construction of knowledge. So the successful learner can link new information with existing knowledge in meaningful ways. So, di ba, one of the principles of Edward Lee Thorndike is the law of readiness. So, meaning to say that there should be that particular preparation in order for them to answer a certain question. And in that particular instance, no, the new information that the students are gaining should be linked to the existing knowledge. So it's like um, for our students to acquire knowledge or to learn new things, they have to connect the existing knowledge that they know with the new information that you are giving them. It's like from learning from what they know to the unknown. So known to the unknown. So it is difficult to start a topic that is not connected to anything that they know. 'Di ba? It's like you have a new cell phone, the latest cell phone, and then you give them to somebody who never used a cell phone. So imagine the trauma, imagine the shock kung paano gagamitin yung bagong gadget. Wala nga siyang idea kung paano gumamit ng gadget, 'di ba? So, parang gano'n 'yun 'no. Um, para bang hindi mo pa alam kung paano mag-plus, mag-minus, mag-divide, mag-multiply, binigyan ka na agad ng problem in algebra, pinapasolve na agad sa'yo finding the value of x, 'di ba? Kahit wala na namang value ang x. So, knowledge widens and deepens as students continue to build links between new information and experiences in their existing knowledge base. So, mas nagkakaroon ng deepening of the new information if there is a clear link between the old knowledge and the new knowledge. So this is the reason why before we start a new topic, no, you have to do a recall first, no, for sure. Many times naka-encounter na kayo na yung teacher na dating magtatanong muna yan about do sa ginawa kahapon, no? What are the things that you have learned? Oh, what can you say about this and that? And then eventually, makikita mo na-introduce na niya yung bagong topic based on the old topics that you are talking about. Diba? So, yeah. So, with that, there will be deepening of the understanding of the new knowledge based on the old knowledge that you have. The nature of these links can take a variety of forms, such as adding to, modifying, or reorganizing existing knowledge or skills. So, pwedeng yung knowledge na alam na nila, pwedeng i-ano mo lang, i-level up mo lang. Parang, if you would like to discuss a subject-verb agreement, kung gusto mong matutunan nila ang subject-verb agreement, dapat alam na muna nila yung verb. So from the verb, you can go to the subject-verb agreement. From the history of the Philippines, then you can start discussing the history of the world. For you to be able to discuss the tissues of our body, you start with the cell, and then from the cells, then you can discuss the tissues, and from the tissues you can discuss the organ system. And educators, such as you teachers, can assist learners in acquiring and integrating knowledge. So when we speak of integrating knowledge, it is when we integrate the old knowledge to the new knowledge. Okay, principle 4, strategic thinking. So the successful learner can create and use a repertoire of thinking and reasoning strategies to achieve complex learning goals. So, successful learners use strategic thinking in their approach to learning, reasoning, problem solving, and concept learning. Diba? Whenever you encounter a certain activity, nagdi-devise ka na agad ng strategy on how can you be able to do the activity. Pag may bago kang topic na na-introduce sa'yo as a student, nag-iisip ka na kaagad kung paano mo matututunan yung topic na yun. Of course, though the teacher could give activities, the teacher could give you list of books, list of notes that you have to read for you to be able to learn the topic or the content. Pero sa likod ng utak mo, you are thinking on how to learn these topics. So doon pumapasok yung strategic thinking, no? So only successful learners can do that. So successful learners use strategic thinking in their approach to learning. So nag-iisip ka na kaagad. What are the strategies that you can use for you to be able to learn these things? No? What are the strategies that you can use for you to be able to attain your learning goal? Ano ba yung learning goal mo? Nakalagay doon, explain the process of photosynthesis. Kita na, di ba? Kaya nga, it is very important that your students are guided with objectives. Objectives could be a learning outcome. So pwede din yun. It could be an objective, a learning outcome, or the goal, the learning goal. No? Whenever you start a topic, you make sure that you have read the objectives for the day so that your students are properly guided. Kung nakalagay doon, explain the process of photosynthesis. So your students can be able to analyze what are the things that I should do in this 1 hour time so that at the end of this 1 hour time, I can be able to explain the process of photosynthesis. Diba? So they are properly guided. So kahit kayo, no, as pre-service teachers, as education students, so dapat you are guided for each subject that you are taking right now. Tingnan mo na kaagad, ano ba yung sinasabi dun sa outcome? Di ba nakalagay dun, at the end of the module, at the end of the week, nakalagay dun, nakalagay na yung goal mo dun. So what are the things that you should do in order for you to attain that goal? May objectives na nakalatag na. Hindi ka na mag-iisip kung ano ba kailangan o matutunan. Kasi the topic is not enough. 'Di ba? Andiyan yung topic. O, ay anong gusto mong malaman doon? Ay ang lawak-lawak nun. 'Di ba? Lalo na kung sa high school yan or sa elementary mo ibigay, no? Let's say your topic is solar system. I'm sorry for giving much science examples, no? But these are common examples. Let's say solar system. So, ang lawak-lawak na solar system. So what are the things that you would like your students to learn about solar system? So yung mga subjects nyo ngayon, no, in the college, or kung ano man ang subject mo ngayon, kung nasaan ka man, kung sino ka mang nanonood dito, you have to think about it. This is the topic. What are the objectives for the topic? What are the things that I can do in order to attain the objectives of the topic? So doon papasok yung strategic thinking mo. Okay? So they also continue to expand their repertoire of strategies and reflect on the methods. So may reflection pa yan at the end. Let's say, after a week, these are the objectives. Na-attain mo ba? So as a successful learner, you have to ask yourself, is my method correct in attaining the goal? What are the problems that I have encountered in attaining the goal? What are the things that I should do next time in order to avoid such problem in attaining my learning goal? So that's how you do the reflection, no? Troubleshooting ka na kagad so that at the following week, you will no longer encounter the problem. 'Di ba? Kita mo nagpa-pile up yung mga activities mo. Pumetics ka lang ng 1 day, no? Pumetics ka ng 1 day. Tambak na kaagad. So nakita mo na. So hindi pala ako dapat pumetics. Hindi pala ako dapat kahit kumisap, hindi ko dapat gawin. Oh, well, exage lang yun but ibig sabihin lang, hindi ka dapat pumetics kapag madami kang activity. You cannot do that in 1 day. 'Di ba? Hindi mo pwedeng, ay, saka ko na gagawin, pagsasabay-sabayin ko na. Anyway, natanggap naman kahit late. 'Di ba? So hindi dapat gano'n yung thinking natin. Okay, so you have to properly guide your students on how to do this. No, strategic thinking. 'Di ba? Sabi nga doon sa isang kasabihan, no, um, learn how to work smart, not hard. Okay? So principle 5, thinking about thinking. So higher order strategies for selecting and monitoring mental operations facilitate creative and critical thinking. So andito na naman yung terms na successful learners, 'di ba? Successful learners can reflect on how they think and learn. So 'di ba? A while ago I mentioned about the reflection. So dito pa din sa thinking about thinking, no? Tama ba? Tama ba yung ginawa ko? Is my method correct? Is my way of thinking correct? for me to be able to learn the topic? Can I explain the topic on my own? So as teachers, ako, personally, these are the things that I look into students for me to tell na natutunan niya. Kukuwentuhin ko lang, no? Sabihin ko lang, "Oh, ay ano namang masasabi mo dito? O puwede mo bang sabihin kung ano yung natutunan mo? Can you use your own words?" So, dun pa lang makikita mo na if the student can be able to explain it on their own, kahit paikot-ikutin mo yung tanong, kahit kulitin mo ng madaming tanong, they can be able to explain that kung alam nila yon. And yung mga students na mahilig mag-memorize, yung word for word, memorize lang. 'Pag nakalimot na yun ng one word or two words, tapos medyo dinagdagan mo ng tanong, magpa-panic na yan, mablo-block, mame-mental block na yan. So what's the sense, 'di ba? So that means that, the student did not understand what he or she is saying, memorize niya lang yung content mo. Okay, so successful learners can reflect on how they think and learn, set reasonable learning or performance goal. So, ano ba yung learning goal mo for the week? What is your learning goal for the month? Learning goal for a year, no? So, you should set this, okay? So, as I've said in the earlier part of the video, you should be goal-oriented, goal-directed. Select potentially appropriate learning strategies or methods. So, pili ka, ano ba ang dapat kong gawin para matutunan ko 'to, okay? So, and then on the other hand, 'pag teacher ka naman, what are the activities that you can give to your students so that they can be able to learn the knowledge and skills that you would like them to learn? So just imagine the steps, no? You have to select the strategies and you have to monitor your progress. So meaning, you have to evaluate your progress. You have to see, no? Natututunan ko ba talaga? Okay? Tama ba yung ginagawa ko para matutunan 'to? So, the last one is use instructional methods that help the students to develop their metacognitive skill. So as teachers, ito naman yung challenge. What are the methods that you can use in order for them to develop metacognitive skills? Di ba? Yun. And of course, the last one is that learning is influenced by environmental factors, including culture, technology, and instructional practices. Tatlo, no? Culture, technology, and instructional practices. Well, ngayon pa lang kita na natin when it comes with when it comes with technology, 'di ba? Um, Kapag medyo mabagal ang internet, kita na natin. Kahit pa willing na matuto online, mabagal yung internet, choppy si teacher, choppy din siya. Factor na agad. Isa naman mabilis sa internet, dinig na dinig ang bawat boses ng, lumalabas dun sa teacher niya. Walang lag, dinig ang sagot ng kaklase, mabilis ang internet, mabilis mag-search ng mga e-books, 'di ba? So, mabilis yung learning niya. Mabagal yung technology, possibly factor yun in learning. So, kasi sinasabi dito, learning is influenced by this culture. So, for example, sa culture kasi madami yan, 'di ba? Um, Before we thought that culture is only for the ethnicity, no? Anong lahi mo, okay, anong tribe mo. So hindi, madami yan, no? Even socioeconomic status is already part of the culture. Tawag natin cultural backgrounds. So, 'pag halimbawa, um, walang makain 'no, walang tubig na maayos, walang bahay na maayos, so medyo mahirap matuto, 'di ba? Kapag naman maganda may workspace ka, 'di ba, may learning space ka sa bahay, may table ka, may study table ka, may pa-ring light ka pa, may music, background music. Tapos, 'pag nag-aaral ka, somebody will, give you snacks, may pa-juice pa, tubig na malamig, milk tea paminsan-minsan. So, 'di ba, parang mabilis matuto, 'di ba? So, that's also a factor in the public school. During the start of the pandemic, even until now, mahirap matuto ang mga estudyante sa public school. Majority of them, as we all know, that factor ang budget, 'no? Um, there are cases, 'di ba, na maliit yung bahay, tapos madami silang magkakapatid, lahat sila nag-aaral, lahat nagmo-module, yung nanay or yung tatay hindi naman nakatapos, so they will not be properly guided. Tapos maingay, 'di ba? Walang lamesa, sa sahig lang. So, versus somebody from the private school, naka-aircon, may sariling kwarto, may sariling lamesa, may laptop, may mabilis ang internet, 'di ba? So these are factors. Kita natin yung pagkakaiba, 'di ba? And another one is instructional practices. These are the practices that we usually follow, and these are built into us from the start na natuto tayo. From the start na nag-aaral tayo. Para bang it's part of your, study habit. But for the teachers, instructional practices could include, strategies, 'no, methods of teaching. But, kung ikaw yung estudyante, instructional practices could also mean your your own habit of learning, okay? Paano ka ba natututo? Do you, uh, just like the learning style, 'no, in the previous video, do you usually turn off the lights? Do you usually, um, use music or listen to music while studying? So these are environmental factors, 'no? Kitang-kita natin 'to. Um, it is also the reason why kapag nung face-to-face pa, 'no, pinapaganda yung room, dapat laging malinis, bakit may cleaners, bakit kailangan yung sahig madulas, makintab, bakit yung mga upuan dapat nakaayos, 'no? Because these are factors to learning. Bakit kailangan, minsan 'di ba sa public school nagpapaambagan pambili ng electric fan, 'di ba? Because, 'pag wala ng budget, 'di ba, kailangan tulong-tulong din. So, it is difficult to learn kapag ang iniisip mo ay kung paano mo palalamigin yung panahon, 'di ba? It is difficult to learn if you are thinking about food while listening to the teachers. So, madami, 'no? Napakalawak nitong, influence, 'no, those factors that can influence learning. So, let us sum it up. So the learner-centered principles, yun yung cognitive and metacognitive factors, indicate that the learning process, particularly for complex material, is most effective when students intentionally construct meaning from information and experience. So, are provided with support and guidance over time to construct coherent representation of knowledge, can link new knowledge with existing knowledge in meaningful ways, and use and develop various learning strategies. So, andito yung mga principles na sinamarize lang. And in addition, the learner-centered principles indicate that learning is influenced by various environmental factors such as culture, technology, and instructional or facilitator practices. So yung facilitator practices, tayo yun as teachers, no, factor yon dun sa learning ng students natin. How do we deal with them? How do we teach them? How do we provide guidance to them? Okay? So with that, these are the references for this topic. Thank you so much for watching this video. So see you again next time.